What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, May 29th, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 16:04 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you guys with all the latest breaking news that I have on Iran and Europe and other breaking news from around the world and from here in the US. So right now we have a US nuke sniffer plane that just did this giant loop over Wisconsin, and it flew right over Lake Michigan, and it turned its tracker off while it was flying over northern Wisconsin. This is pretty unusual, and it looks like it's about to land at Offutt Air Base in Omaha, Nebraska, the home of US Strategic Command. So this is pretty unusual. And Trump posted earlier today that he is in the Situation Room this afternoon, and he is making a final determination on Iran. And he said that he would be willing to lift sanctions on Iran if Iran agrees that they will never have a nuclear weapon and that they will not be blocking the Strait of Hormuz. So let me read to you what he posted earlier today. Iran must agree that they will never have a nuclear weapon or bomb. The Hormuz Strait must be immediately open. No tolls for unrestricted shipping traffic in both directions. All water mines, if any, will be terminated. We have removed through detonation numerous such mines with our great underwater minesweepers. Iran will complete the immediate removal and or detonation of any mines that are left, which will not be many. Ships caught in the strait due to our amazing and unprecedented naval blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process of heading home. Say hello to your wives, husbands, parents, and families from me, your favorite president. The enriched material, sometimes referred to as nuclear dust, which is buried deep underground with virtually collapsed mountains caused by our powerful B-2 bomber attack 11 months ago sitting on top of it, will be unearthed by the U.S., blah, 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 blah. So just a lot of words here, but basically saying that he is making a final determination. He said, I will be meeting now in the Situation Room to make a final determination, okay? So it's possible he could launch strikes on Iran in the coming days. That's what I think is going to happen. Remember, they moved all of our Air Force assets out of the Middle East over the last couple of days back to Europe. And at first thought, you may think, oh, well, that's the U.S. pulling out of the Middle East and we're getting ready to retreat. But no, that's actually the opposite, because if we're going to escalate and step up the attacks, we don't want our planes to be within striking distance of Iranian drones, because we have a difficulty in shooting down those Iranian drones. Our air defenses are not tuned for shooting down drones. They're tuned for shooting down missiles, which is completely different, okay? So they're moving them back to Europe, because in Europe they'll be out of striking distance from Iran if there's a big escalation, but they can still launch attacks from Europe on Iran. And U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance said negotiations with Iran are not there yet, but very close. No U.S. aircraft have been shot down near Iran's Bushehr reactor, despite claims by Iranian state media, according to U.S. officials. And Iran's foreign ministry said the exchange of messages with the U.S. continues, but no final understanding has been reached, okay? So they've been going back and forth with these talks for how long now? Months already? Why is anything going to suddenly change if it hasn't worked before? You know, it's just spinning your wheels, you know. And we have initial reports coming in of a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone that was shot down by the Houthis over Yemen's Marib region. And large-scale Israeli airstrikes continue across southern Lebanon. And the United Arab Emirates carried out dozens of airstrikes against Iran throughout the Iran war so far in coordination with the U.S. and Israel. And here we have a picture of these Israeli strikes on southern Lebanon. Now remember that striking Lebanon was a red line for Iran, okay? In any kind of peace talks, they said that if Israel strikes Lebanon, then the peace talks are over. They want Lebanon included, okay? And Israel's continuing to pound Lebanon, okay? So I don't see how Iran is going to go for that. And then here we have supposed footage of a US MQ-9 Reaper drone that was shot down over Yemen by the Houthis, okay? And we have some very concerning news coming out of Romania. So last night, a Russian drone struck an apartment building in a Romanian city on the border of Ukraine. The Romanian Ministry of Foreign Affairs says an incident involving a Russian drone that struck an apartment building in a Romanian city is a grave and irresponsible escalation from Russia. Romania has informed allies and NATO's Secretary General about the circumstances and requested measures to accelerate the transfer of anti-drone capabilities to Romania. So NATO's not going to do anything about this, guys, okay? Russia is now freely striking European countries with no consequence. Remember, just a week or two ago, there were drones in the Baltics that were shot down over Estonia and Latvia. And how many drones and missiles have already flown into Romania, Poland, and the Baltics since this war started? Okay, probably 2 or 3 dozen. And that's what they publicly tell us. Imagine what they don't tell us about. Okay, there was actually a Russian missile that killed Polish farmers even in the first or second year of the Ukraine war, and the Biden administration didn't do anything about it, okay? And then here we actually have some footage of this drone impacting this apartment building, and we're hearing that nobody was killed. Apparently there were some injuries, but nobody was killed, so that's good news. Okay, so you can see there that massive explosion there. And so basically making a direct hit on this apartment building. Here's another angle. Okay, you can see the apartment building burning there after the drone hit it. Okay, so this is a communist block. They built all these blocks back in the day during the Cold War. They built these flats. Okay, that's what these apartments are. And it looks like it hit the top floors. Okay, so this is a major situation. And wreckage found at the site of the drone strike confirms that the building was indeed struck by a Russian Guran 2 or Shahed 136 drone. And NATO published a statement condemning last night's Russian strike against eastern Romania, in which a one-way attack drone struck an apartment building, injuring 2 civilians within the city of Galati. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is reported to be in contact with authorities in Romania. And following the Russian drone attack, Romania's president closed the Russian consulate in Constanta, and now there's just one Russian embassy left in Romania. So very serious situation there. And Romanian media reported that 2 F-16s were scrambled during the alert and were authorized to engage the drones before they impacted, although they likely didn't have enough time to engage or were unable to get a clean engagement without risking crossfire. Okay, so they did scramble fighter jets, but they did not shoot down the drones for whatever reason. And then here we have Dmitry Medvedev making this post earlier today. Everybody's been talking about it. He basically threatens all of Europe, all the citizens of Europe. He says, citizens of EU countries, you should realize your authorities have unilaterally entered into a war with Russia. So be vigilant and don't be surprised by anything. That peaceful sleep is over, but you know who to ask why. Wow. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is Matt Hat Jerky. Guys, if you're a beef jerky lover like myself, you got to try Matt Hat Jerky. This is the best beef jerky I've ever had. I personally met the owner of this company at SHOT Show, and he's actually local to Pennsylvania. This company has an interesting story behind it. He founded this company when he was 11 years old. Yeah, that's right, 11 years old. He's now 19, and he makes gourmet beef jerky, the best jerky I've ever had. He's got over a dozen different flavors, and it's all sourced with U.S. beef, so no foreign beef, no nitrates, and no MSG. So it's all natural American beef jerky. And if you use my promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And you got to go to matthatjerky.com, and I'm going to leave a link in the description down below. That's matthatjerky.com, one word, matthatjerky.com. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off your entire order, and the link and the promo code are in the description down below. So, the biggest thing here, he says, entered into a war with Russia, peaceful sleep is over. Okay, so very, very concerning words coming from Medvedev. And the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova says all accusations of Russia's involvement in the drone incident in Romania are groundless. So Russia is denying that they launched the drone, and Putin gave a press conference earlier and he denied that Russia was involved. He said no one can tell the origin of a particular aircraft until an examination of that aircraft has been carried out. After all, we know that Ukrainian drones have flown into Finland and into Poland and into some of the Baltic states. The first reaction was exactly the same as now in Romania. So he's saying that it was a Ukrainian drone that hit this Romanian apartment building. And the Ukrainian defense minister said this will be the most terrifying and difficult summer for Russia. Everything is still to come. Wow, so Ukraine has some big military plans for Russia. And we know that Russia is mobilizing a large number of troops for some reason. We don't know exactly why. And we're also hearing that Ukrainian drones carried out an attack at an oil refinery in Volgograd, that's Stalingrad. And the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, said Russia is preparing a new large-scale attack, and all the intelligence I'm hearing is that the attack may happen as soon as tonight or this weekend. Okay, remember Russia said they were going to bomb the capital of Ukraine, and they were telling all foreign diplomats and foreigners to leave the capital of Ukraine because they're going to strike it. So that's still yet to come. And then we have this big mobilization that Russia's doing, which could be for another campaign against Ukraine, or it could be for an invasion into the Baltics. And then we also have that NATO intelligence that came out this week saying that Russia will attack Europe within the next year. Particularly, they're talking about the Baltics or up in Scandinavia, the northern part of Scandinavia, or somewhere in the Arctic. And I want to read to you some quotes from Putin from his press conference today. He said, every place from where the direct military threat has emanated towards Russia is a lawful legal target for us. Okay, so he's saying, any country that helps Ukraine is a lawful legal target. He also said Russia has all the means necessary to raze to the ground anyone who attempts to destroy Russian air defense bases. Okay, so he's talking about Ukraine striking their air defense bases and that they have the means to raze to the ground. So is he talking about tactical nukes there? He also said European politicians pretend that Russia is harboring aggressive plans against Western European states. That is just a crude, blatant lie. So Putin denying that Russia's planning to attack Europe, but we know Putin is a liar himself, lying about the drone hitting Ukraine. I mean, he's just constantly lying. So this is all just a psychological game that he's playing. And Putin stated that I think what we are seeing right now on the battlefield in Ukraine allows us to say that the situation is coming to an end. So he's saying that they're going to declare victory soon, but I really don't believe that. And Bulgaria will now only allow U.S. military aircraft to remain in the country until the end of June, after Washington failed to approve visa-free travel for Bulgarian citizens. This was stated by the Prime Minister Rumen Radev. And if you guys are not aware, you may think, who cares about Bulgaria, you know? But Bulgaria has a massive U.S. airbase there. If you're not aware, okay, Romania and Bulgaria have massive air bases that are critical for U.S. military operations in the Middle East, okay? So very, very serious news there. And if you guys are not familiar, one of Jeff Bezos's rockets exploded yesterday. His company Blue Origin, which is a competitor to SpaceX, was testing the New Glenn rocket out of Cape Canaveral. He said no one was injured in this explosion, but we have some really dramatic footage I want to share with you. Check this out. This reminds me of the Challenger disaster, but no one was injured. Thank God there were no astronauts on this rocket. But check this out. Wow, and you can actually see the pressure wave. Okay, once this all goes off, you see that pressure wave there? Absolutely insane. Look at that. Wow. And we're hearing that there was damage done to Cape Canaveral. So how are these companies going to continue with their rockets constantly blowing up? This is not a small explosion. This looks like a nuclear bomb going off. Okay, right at Cape Canaveral. I hope Jeff Bezos is going to pay to fix our space base there. Okay, because SpaceX and all these companies, they keep testing these rockets that blow up constantly. Okay, you can actually see this tower is shaking from the explosion. If you look at that tower there, it shakes. It's just shaking from the explosion. Check that out. Okay, but yeah, we are hearing that damage was done. Here's another angle of the explosion. This is totally insane. So you could see the pressure wave, and now you see this massive mushroom cloud. I mean, it looks like a nuclear bomb going off, okay? Could you imagine living nearby and hearing this thing blow up? You better believe it made a noise, okay? And a massive pressure wave. Just totally insane. It just looks like a nuclear bomb. Check that out. Massive fireball, and then you could see the mushroom cloud. Totally insane. Look at all the debris. Got chunks of burning debris being ejected. You know, looks like probably a mile or two away from the launch site, maybe even further. Okay, what if that lands into a forest and causes a forest fire? And here's another video. Check this out. guys, imagine being at this restaurant and suddenly you look out and you see this bright light and a mushroom cloud. You would think that nuclear war started. I mean, look, the whole sky turns orange. It looks like a nuclear war. Okay, absolutely insane footage here coming out of Cape Canaveral. And the Trump administration is bracing for the potential collapse of Cuba's totalitarian government as early as this summer, and has wargamed new military response plans in case the island descends into chaos, a U.S. official told Axios. So Cuba is next on the chopping block. They already have the Nimitz aircraft carrier in position. They've already had meetings about it. They're developing plans. So after the Iran situation is taken care of, we're going to see Cuba, okay? And here's one more video of the rocket blowing up. Wow, totally insane. Look at that. Totally insane. Wow. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on tonight with a live update. And tune into my 24/7 live stream if you want to get breaking news around the clock and listen to U.S. nuclear forces as they're transmitting codes in real time. I have my own radio here at my studio, and it's plugged into the live stream, and my wonderful moderators, including Ross Snyderman, Deb Thompson, Mazi Ozzy, Rodney Middleton, and all the rest, post updates in the chat throughout the day. So until later on, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.